Don't push me, Bob. Now's not the time.
All right, hey everybody, I'm Nolan. This is the Know Nothing podcast. Thanks for checking out the video and hope you like. Pam Bondi stepped into some shit, and let me tell you, it's fucking bad. I mean, every conservative in my life has reached out to me personally and said something along the lines of, this is really bad, or this doesn't look too good. And yeah, I mean, no shit, it's bad. This is as bad as it gets. And to put the cherry on top, they send out Blondie out on some kind of campaign mission or something to Congress to out the Trump administration as the most disconnected administration since...
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start.
Okay, yeah, our last president, but not only are they disconnected, but they think their voters are stupid. And what do they do when their voters don't fall for their bullshit and demand to see the files?
Let these weaklings continue forward, because I don't want their support anymore.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net.
So let's watch this dumpster fire of an opening statement the whole way through, and then I'll break it down for you and tell you what I think of it.
2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. Ms. Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen.
So you know when the facts aren't on your side and you're doing shady shit, you're playing the game, you're playing the political game, this is what you end up looking like on the national stage. You look like a clown. You know, they send her out there to do this stuff because, I don't know, they think you're stupid. They think the average Trump supporter is going to watch this and love it because she's mouthing off to the Democrats in Congress. They know that you have contempt for these politicians. They know you hate them. So they're hoping that you just enjoy watching her laugh in their face and make a big joke out of this. You know, they're hoping that you accept this and ignore the fact that they tried to cover up the Epstein files. They tried to carry water for human traffickers as if it couldn't be any worse. So they send her out there to do this. I don't even know what this is, a campaign ad for 2028. I don't know. But this is disgusting. You know, she's saying basically, yeah, I know the elites that run this country and run this world are disgusting PDF files and they're human traffickers. But look, the stock market's good. The Dow Jones is up. That's why the Democrats are talking about this, because Trump's doing so good. And it's like, no, lady, they're talking about it because it's the worst scandal in recent history. And the American people are demanding it. Your voters are demanding it. So yeah, the Democrats probably don't give a shit about it, really. And yeah, they're going to use it to destroy Trump like they do for everything else. But the facts happen to be on their side. So they look competent and you look like, I don't know, a clown in makeup. The truth is you're making their job easy for them because you are all liars and you all tried to cover this up. This is 2026. We have the internet. You can't lie on a mass scale and expect everybody to believe it and fall for it.
Foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it.
So she sounds like somebody's mom in high school who just caught you boozing and smoking weed in her basement. Did you apologize to Donald Trump? You know, lady, we're talking about the Epstein files. We're not talking about Russian collusion. We know that was insane. Go talk to Rachel Maddow or something. She's the only one who still talks about Russian collusion. Take it to her disaster of a show. This is a committee hearing. The point of it is for elected officials to ask you why you suck so bad at your job that you feel a need to cover up for child sex rings. That's what this is about.
You know, all they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And
the Trump administration did release the 3 million documents, but they did it kicking and screaming at the top of their lungs. I mean, they were the toddler in the toy section at Walmart screaming for a toy, and the parent just isn't having it, so they're throwing a giant tantrum. They released it because they were forced to release it because a very small group of representatives and the good citizens of America who refused to let this story fade into nothingness, the social media influencers and the podcasters who kept it alive, you know, despite being called crazy or conspiracy theorists, those people are the reason that it got released. Not because of Trump's goodwill to the American people and his desire to do what's right all the time, not because the politicians on mass scale decided that this was terrible and something needed to be done about it. It was a small group of people who wanted to do the right thing, you know? And yeah, other administrations did nothing, but right now we're talking about your administration. And so far, your administration has fought to keep these monsters hidden through unreleased files, you know, redactions, threatening actions towards people who have called for the release of files.
One of Kash Patel's staff threatened my staff with a criminal investigation if we didn't straighten up and play ball.
This is about your administration not doing what it was elected to do.
Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents.
Only because he had no other choice but to sign it. The American people were demanding it, and Congress had passed it. So for him to veto that bill would be him absolutely admitting that something's messed up in the files and he might be implicated. It would be too devastating politically for him to reject it. Remember, folks, he needs to not get completely massacred by Democrats in the midterms, because if he does and they take the houses of Congress, he's as good as screwed. He's going to be drowning in impeachment hearings for the rest of his presidency.
He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now.
No, he's laughing because nobody can believe that you just tried to change the subject to the Dow in a hearing about child trafficking. You know, let me tell you something. Right now, we don't give a fuck about the Dow. We're trying to get to the bottom of a child sex trafficking ring in elite circles of people who run our country and our world. The Dow? I mean, that's unbelievable. They're making a joke out of it. They think you're stupid.
The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe.
Making Americans safe. You mean like not letting child rapists and traffickers live free among us? That's a good place to start, I would say.
We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan.
The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen to a 4-year low thanks to Donald Trump. That's why they want to focus on Epstein and our most transparent president in the nation's history. The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low thanks to Donald Trump. For an unprecedented 9 straight months, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. That's what we should be focused on.
Don't pay attention to the child traffickers. Here, look, no illegals. Look at immigration. They know how Trump supporters love talking about immigration. So do you see the bait and switch here? Do you see what she's doing? I mean, she might as well be laughing at all of us. Seriously, because she thinks that we're that stupid, not to mention, how disconnected she is. That how disconnected do you have to be to show up to a hearing, a serious hearing about child rapists and traffickers? I mean, this is serious stuff. And then say in your statement, immigration. Now, that's what we should be focused on, not the Epstein list. I mean, in case you guys didn't know, she's saying it in front of victims that are in the room right there with her. They're sitting there watching her. How disconnected do you have to be? So it's not just the Democrats, lady. We all want fucking answers, and we all want them from you, since it's your job to hold these people accountable and bring them up on charges, not hide them behind redactions and then let them go scot-free. I have no confidence in her ability to hold people accountable. She can't even be taken seriously. This is a hill that her voters and us citizens are willing to die on. And this is what she thinks of it. She thinks it's a giant joke. She thinks that we shouldn't even be talking about it. It's disgraceful. Seriously, I'm embarrassed for her, honestly.
All the great work that this president has done and will continue to do to keep America safe and to make Americans safe.
Thank you.
These people are not serious about getting justice for these crimes. It's evident. One thing we have to also contend with is the fact that that Epstein wasn't this unique breed of sexual monster billionaire. Do you think that whenever he got arrested that they all just, stopped obsessing about kids or torture? You think they gave up on their addiction? And trust me, I know a lot about addiction. And I also know that you don't stop getting high because your dealer gets caught. You find another dealer so you can keep getting high. That's what you do. So where are the other dealers? Who are they? And if what they say is true and Epstein was protected by powerful people, then you can assume that there are probably, most likely, 100 more exactly like him out there, roaming around, operating freely. And you can bet your ass that the people who could do something about them know about them, and they're doing nothing about them. All right, so, we should also talk about Gaza and what the future looks like for Gaza. That's in the news too. And in recent months, the whole focus on Gaza sort of faded into obscurity. We were told that the Trump administration obtained peace and achieved a ceasefire in Gaza between Hamas and the Israeli forces that are occupying Gaza. And I mean, it sounds good, doesn't it? Yep. And while there is what on the surface seems like a ceasefire, unfortunately, people are still dying there. And they're not dying because of heart attacks. I'll just say this. Israel's still conducting limited military operations in Palestine, so one can assume only Hamas is being held to the standards of the ceasefire. And if you're a stronger military force, or if your name is Israel, then you can still conduct military strikes without technically breaking the ceasefire. I mean, it's not even a secret at this point. Israel, backed by the United States, can pretty much do whatever it wants and then report whatever reality to the news that they want to report. Because remember, the victors in history write fucking history books. It's disappointing, to say the least, And since October 10th of last year, which is when the ceasefire went into effect, over 1,000 people have been killed in continued Israeli strikes. Does that sound like a ceasefire? And judging off the civilian to combatant ratio of the entire war, you can assume at least 40 or 50% of those deaths are civilian deaths. Since, these strikes are being carried out mostly by drone strikes, and drone strikes always come with collateral damage. It's kind of part of the deal. Some organizations are estimating that between 70% to 80% of the 70,000 people killed in Gaza were civilians. That's insane. So it doesn't sound like a ceasefire, but yesterday Israel attacked, they conducted an attack that killed 11 people. And that's just yesterday. So what will the future look like for Palestinians? Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that their future looks bleak at best. They're completely destroyed people who have essentially no way to defend themselves from the world. And if they would try to defend themselves, they would just be labeled as terrorists and get basically no support from the international community. The United Nations is a joke. And in cases like this, where stronger nations tend to act like vultures picking apart a carcass, and there isn't even really much to pick apart at this point. I mean, Gaza's completely destroyed. But this is when countries like Palestine need international support. Gaza's completely leveled. But just whenever you thought all hope was lost, America comes to the rescue, baby.
Talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
What's the road ahead for governing Gaza? Because
a lot of people like the one-state solution. Some people like the two-state solutions. We'll have to see. I haven't commented on that.
In other words, the single state of Israel will govern it.
Borders completely formed. We can do pretty much whatever we want to do, and we'll do it in conjunction with the United Nations. I've always said the United Nations has got tremendous potential, has not used it.
So keep in mind, Gaza was destroyed by bombs and missiles that the United States provided them with. So that's like paying the person who burned down your house as the contractor to now rebuild your house. Only America could be so bold and so cold as to fund a war of basically ethnic cleansing and then forcibly insert themselves into the rebuilding effort of the country. And if you think Trump is going to rebuild it and then hand it back over to the Palestinians and tell them to have a nice day, here you go, you're f***ing high. No, actually, they're going to rebuild it and then declare that since we put the time and the resources and the effort and the manpower into it, that it's ours now. And trust me, Trump will say, he's going to say things like, oh, it's way nicer and way safer with us in charge. And the people living there now are a lot happier with it under our ownership. And that's what their basis is going to be for keeping it. Meanwhile, it'll be Israelis living in there. So of course they'll be happier. It'll be Israelis living in brand new houses and buildings because Israel taking the land for themselves is what this was always about. And everyone tried to warn the world that this was the case. And at that, with the help of good old righteous America, the ethnic cleansing operation will be a success. And then we'll just move on like nothing ever happened. They might let a few Palestinians back in just to make it look like they mean well, for the international communities, but it'll be mostly Israelis, and it will look mostly like the way the rest of Israel does today. And everyone else will have to basically piss off to the surrounding countries in the Middle East and Africa. All the real Palestinians will have to leave. And I just have one thing to say about this. Well, I have a lot to say about it, actually, but one thing more than the rest. We freaking told you so. Gaza doesn't look like a war-torn country. It looks like a giant freaking demolition site. All they have to do is roll in the tractors and the excavators, and they're golden. Maybe they even bring in some poor Palestinians to help with the rebuilding. They can even let them stay in little camps with other Palestinian workers, like Dubai does whenever they're building a giant building. And meanwhile, the places where the workers are living look like rat-infested prison cells. And then once the job's done, they can put them on a bus and send them right over the border to Jordan and Egypt and tell them, bye, thanks for helping us steal your land. And the Palestinians, essentially have no say in this, because once you're labeled a terrorist state, you get treated like the addict in the family who has no choice in anything, and the family has to make all of the decisions for them. That's basically what Palestine is right now. And they're going to get screwed on this. It's obvious. Everybody sees it coming. It's sad.
But there are no representatives from Gaza on the board overseeing its future.
They're doing this right out in the open, too. In front of the UN, in front of international communities. They're doing this right out in the open. And keep in mind, this is the day of the internet. Everybody has watched this war from the very beginning, you know? And we might have been fooled at first when the October 7th attacks first happened. I was fooled. But it didn't take long for us to notice that something wasn't quite right. And it doesn't seem like they're waging a war and trying to just kill Hamas terrorists. It seems like everybody's being killed and pushed from their land. And it kind of seems like that very thing has played out. You know, the propaganda has been in full spin ever since the first attacks happened. And it seems like it's more of a human removal process, an ethnic cleansing from the Gaza territory. And that's what it is. So Israel gets its expansion like it always wanted into Gaza. The Gazans will be gone. And Israel will be all the better for it. They got their Golan Heights expansion into Syria whenever the Assad regime fell. And then the final move will be a war with Iran, which is coming, by the way. You know, they haven't been talking much about it, but Netanyahu just visited the United States again this week. It's coming. They already laid the groundwork for it to happen. We're just waiting for it to happen. Israel will go to war with Iran, and we will support Israel. I hope you like it. That's all I got, everybody. Thanks. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.